In this podcast episode, Minister Jason Nixon discusses the issue of tent cities in Alberta, particularly in Edmonton. He explains that the problem started to mount about 2 to 3 years ago, with hundreds of encampments and structures within them. The minister emphasizes that the root cause of homelessness in tent cities is not solely related to housing costs, but is primarily driven by drug addiction and mental health issues. He mentions that drugs like fentanyl and methamphetamine are prevalent in these tent cities, with organized gangs, including Mexican cartels and Asian suppliers, operating within the province. The minister highlights the dangerous and criminal activities that take place within these tent cities, including sexual exploitation of minors, drug trafficking, charging for access to basic resources like water, and storing stolen property. He stresses that the tent cities are not safe for the individuals living in them or for the general public. The presence of organized gangs, particularly indigenous gangs, has increased in Alberta, contributing to the escalation of criminal activities in these areas. Nixon attributes the increase in drug activity to federal policies that decriminalize drug use without providing adequate treatment and support for individuals struggling with addiction. He criticizes the approach of simply providing drugs to addicts without addressing the root causes of addiction and offering resources for recovery. The government of Alberta, under Premier Daniel Smith, has taken decisive action to address the tent city issue. A task force led by Nixon's department has been established to tackle the problem. They have set up a navigation center to provide comprehensive services to individuals in the tent cities, including health, housing, income support, and identification assistance. The government has also worked closely with law enforcement to dismantle the tent cities and address the criminal activities associated with them. Nixon acknowledges the role of deinstitutionalization in contributing to the homelessness crisis, as many mentally ill individuals ended up on the streets or in prison due to lack of proper care. He emphasizes the need for a holistic approach to address the root causes of homelessness, including addiction recovery and mental health support. Nixon discusses the dynamics between municipal and provincial governments, noting that left-leaning municipal governments may have different ideologies and approaches to addressing homelessness and addiction compared to the conservative provincial government. He highlights the collaboration between the provincial government and municipal police forces to address issues like tent cities and provide support for individuals in need. Nixon explains the process of dismantling tent cities, which involves coordination between social services, police, and bylaw enforcement. The police secure the area, while social workers offer individuals in the tent cities the opportunity to go to navigation centers for support and resources. The approach includes addressing fire safety issues and ensuring a safe and organized transition for individuals living in tent cities. The government has set up a warm navigation center to help individuals transition from tent cities to a more stable environment. The center provides showers, food, shelter beds, medical services, access to prescriptions, ID services, income support, and resources for temporary and permanent housing. The goal is to bring all necessary services together in one location to support individuals in need. Nixon mentions that while some individuals may be upset about being displaced from tent cities, the majority of people are relieved to have access to a warm and supportive environment. The government is tracking data related to the size of the facilities and is exploring the idea of smaller, more focused shelters for specific demographics, such as women and indigenous individuals. By keeping the centers smaller, the government hopes to reduce the likelihood of criminal activity and create a more welcoming environment for those in need. Nixon discusses the importance of providing individuals with a concrete plan for the future. He mentions the concept of recovery capital, which assesses an individual's assets and resources for long-term recovery. The government is working to bridge social services with recovery programs to support individuals in their journey towards recovery. He emphasizes the belief that individuals can recover from addiction and that the government is committed to providing support throughout the process. Nixon highlights the importance of evaluating interventions to determine their effectiveness. He mentions a study by Dr. Joan McCord, which showed that a program for at-risk youth actually increased criminal behavior. This example underscores the need for rigorous evaluation of social programs to ensure they are achieving their intended outcomes. The podcast also touches on Premier Danielle Smith's policy regarding gender-affirming care for minors. Nixon explains that the government has tightened restrictions on procedures such as surgeries and hormone treatments for minors. The aim is to ensure that parents are informed and involved in decisions regarding their children's care. The government's stance on this issue has generated controversy, but has received significant support from the public.